The Chicago Bears just dropped 3 pieces of news in one day, and one of them could completely reshape the NFC North power struggle. A brand new weapon joins the roster from the USFL, a legendary pass rusher finally makes his decision, and it's not coming to Chicago, and a familiar name just walked back into the division in the most unexpected way. Buckle up, Bears fans. This one's got everything. If you're serious about Bears football, hit that like button, share this with every Bears fan you know, and subscribe, because we cover every move, every rumor, every single day. So let's kick things off with the newest addition to the 90-man roster. Wide receiver and return specialist Caden Davis has officially agreed to a 1-year deal with the Chicago Bears. The scoop came from Adam Schefter and his agent Sean Stellato, yes, the same guy who reps Tommy DeVito, shout out to Tommy Cutlets, confirmed the deal. Now, who exactly is Caden Davis? Great question. This guy is as well-traveled as they come. He started at Butler Community College, moved on to Northwest Missouri State, then signed as an undrafted free agent with the Denver Broncos back in 2022. From there, it's been a non-stop tour of the NFL and developmental leagues. He's bounced through the USFL with the Michigan Panthers, spent time on practice squads with the Arizona Cardinals, Detroit Lions, and Denver Broncos, then found himself splitting time between the Cleveland Browns' active roster and practice squad last year. This spring, he suited up for the Houston Gamblers in the USFL, catching 4 passes for 32 yards across 5 games. But here's the thing, receiving stats don't tell his real story. What Caden Davis actually brings to the table is his ability as a return specialist. 10 kick returns this past spring, averaging a jaw-dropping 27.5 yards per return. That's not a typo. That's legitimate, explosive return ability that can flip field position in an instant. And look, it's not like he's been hiding in the preseason either. In 10 career preseason games, he's racked up 19 catches, 236 yards, and 4 touchdowns, including 2 last year thrown by Shedeur Sanders. Here's a fun wrinkle. The Bears open their preseason against the team Sanders is now on. So if Davis makes this roster, that first game just got a little more personal. But let's be honest about the situation he's walking into. The Bears' receiver room is stacked. You've got Khalil Herbert. Wait, let me rephrase. You've got Khalil Shacker-level competition in the return game with guys like Keenan Allen and Xavier Thomas capable of handling duties back there. Scotty Miller has done it. Josh Blackwell has handled return work in Chicago. And then you factor in players like Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, and guys further down the depth chart like J.P. Richardson and Maurice Alexander, who are probably ahead of Davis not just at receiver but in the return game specifically. So is he a roster lock? Absolutely not. But is he a guy who could make a team sit up and take notice during training camp and the preseason? 100%. Don't be surprised if he turns heads. Camp battles are where legends are born, and where long shots become household names. Here's your question of the day, Bears Nation. Drop it in the comments right now. Do you think Caden Davis makes the final 53-man roster, or is this purely a camp body situation? Let's debate it. Now let's pivot to the news that Bears fans have been waiting on, and honestly it stings just a little bit. Cam Jordan is officially done flirting with free agency. The future Hall of Famer has signed a 1-year deal to finish his legendary career where he started it, with the New Orleans Saints. He even posted a video confirming it himself, announcing this will be his 16th and final NFL season. You've got to respect that. The man is going out on his terms, wearing the only jersey he's ever known. The deal is reportedly incentive-heavy. Think a modest base with escalators that could potentially double the total value depending on performance. And honestly, that makes all the sense in the world for a 33-year-old pass rusher trying to write the final chapter of a career that belongs in Canton. Now, the reason this matters so much for Chicago is simple. Cam Jordan had a real connection with Bears defensive coordinator Dennis Allen, who of course spent years in New Orleans. There was genuine buzz that Jordan could be lured to Chicago to add veteran presence and leadership to a pass rush that, quite frankly, still has some question marks. Because after Montez Sweat and Austin Booker, who's the guy? Dayo Odeyingbo has a role, but he didn't exactly tear the league apart last year. Shaka Toney is still working his way back from a torn ACL, and by Ben Johnson's own comments, it doesn't sound like he'll be flying out of the gate once training camp opens. Daniel Hardy is more of a special teams contributor. After that, the depth gets thin fast. So who else is out there? Javon Clowney is still available. Joey Bosa is still on the market. Von Miller, yes, that Von Miller, hasn't found a home yet. Then you drop down to guys like Leonard Floyd, Zadarius Smith, who just came off the Eagles' retired list and may be ready to play again, Kyle Van Noy, Cleveland Farrell, Derek Barnett, and Damone. Actually, let's get this right. Dino Autry and Cleveland Farrell, both of whom put together solid seasons with the Texans and bring size, physicality, and the ability to kick inside when needed. Do the Bears need to make a move? Here's what I believe, yes. You cannot go into a season banking on a healthy return from a player coming off torn ACL surgery and call that your plan. You just can't. Chicago doesn't appear to be panicking, and that's fine. Training camp will reveal a lot. Cuts will create opportunities. Trades could emerge. But at some point, this front office needs to pull the trigger on adding another legitimate pass rusher. And if I'm running this team, my top 3 targets are still Clowney, Bosa, and Von Miller. All 3 got after quarterbacks consistently last season. All 3 have something left in the tank. Don't let the opportunity window close by waiting too long. Alright, before we wrap up, there's one more story that's almost too wild not to talk about. Ryan Pace is back in the NFC North. The former Chicago Bears general manager, the man who drafted Mitch Trubisky over Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, the man who was eventually replaced by Ryan Poles, is now reportedly joining the Minnesota Vikings front office as a football advisor. He's been working with the Atlanta Falcons since leaving Chicago, and now he's sliding right back into a division that still very much remembers his tenure. Social media, predictably, had an absolute field day with this news. Look, people love to pile on Ryan Pace, and some of that criticism is fair. But the guy has stayed in the league, continued working, and now lands an advisory role with one of the Bears' biggest rivals. Whether his presence in Minnesota's building becomes meaningful or barely registers, it's a fascinating story. And it raises a real question worth sitting with. Can Ryan Pace's experience, the lessons learned through some brutal front office decisions, actually help the Vikings make better choices? Or is this just an interesting footnote in a career that never quite reached its potential? Think about that one. The Bears are making moves, managing their roster, and watching the chessboard with the rest of the NFC North. The Caden Davis signing is small but interesting. The Cam Jordan situation is officially closed. And Ryan Pace popping back up in Minnesota is the kind of subplot that makes following this division genuinely entertaining. Stay locked in, Bears fans. Training camp is creeping closer, and things are only going to get louder from here. Bear down.